Hey there, and welcome to the Mindfulness Hub. I'm Asia. I'm a coach, creative arts facilitator, and mindfulness teacher. And in this space, I share what I practice. My intention is for us to learn, practice mindfulness together, and share it with others and the world. If you're new here, welcome to the space. Please join it by subscribing. And if you're a returning viewer or a subscriber, I immensely appreciate your presence and support here. So in today's video, we'll be exploring grain, which is a 5-step tool used for mindfulness to navigate triggers, difficult, uncomfortable, intense emotions. But it can also be used as a simple check-in that you can guide yourself through using the 5 steps. So after that, we'll be practicing grain together. And at the end, I will be reading you a poem and saying a loving kindness prayer from my heart to yours. So if this is something that you might be interested in, that you think might benefit you, stick around, and when you're ready, let's begin. So grain is a 5-step tool used in mindfulness for checking in with ourselves, but also used to navigate triggers and uncomfortable, difficult, intense emotions. GRAIN stands for grounding, recognizing, allowing, investigating, and nurturing or non-identifying. So what do we mean by grounding? Grounding is an essential first step in mindfulness because it allows us to connect to our bodies so that from that place we may access that spaciousness, which it allows us to be mindful essentially. So it is an important starting point, connecting with the body. If we're not connected to the body, it is very difficult to navigate triggers, emotions, thoughts, stress. So what we do is we return to our senses, to the sensations that we can feel in our body, and to whatever our senses can pick up on in the space around us. So we do use our 5 senses, and we use our bodies, and we connect to an anchor, and that anchor can be either the breath or another part of the body if the breath isn't a comfortable place for you to be in that moment. The anchor is essentially a part of the body that we return to, or it can also be the breath that we return to whenever the mind wanders off to thoughts. And that will happen because it's what minds do. But what we do in mindfulness is that we practice gently returning our awareness to the anchor of the breath or a different part of the body, whatever we've chosen as our anchor. So that is our first step. Often when we've been triggered or an emotion has come up, we tend to go into our heads because it is a safer place to be. So we disconnect from our bodies. By disconnecting from our bodies, we disconnect from feeling as well, which in some circumstances can be helpful. Temporarily. Sometimes it is helpful to distract until we feel more regulated and more comfortable in returning to that emotion. But other times when we're chronically living in our heads and disconnected from feeling in our bodies, it can cause all sorts of distress. So what we do in mindfulness is we practice returning to the body, and then from that place, we explore difficulty. And then the second step is recognize. So recognize, it is the step that involves that that involves bringing awareness to our experience, our internal experience. We might begin by becoming aware of our thoughts, our emotions, and our bodily sensations. And that is sometimes a helpful way of breaking down what's happening for us. And recognition, awareness, it is such a vital step in mindfulness. Mindfulness, in fact, is defined as the awareness that arises by paying attention on purpose to our moment-to-moment experience without judgment to things as they are. And in mindfulness, we cultivate that awareness. We practice bringing our awareness to our experiences, because from that place of awareness, we essentially cultivate wisdom and choice, agency. And from that place, we can make better choices for ourselves. And we can also see into patterns of the mind. For example, we see the chatter of our monkey minds, as Jon Kabat-Zinn says, and we recognize patterns. And then those patterns are helpful to identify, because it is from those patterns that we create habits. And anyway, moving on. The third step is allow. So the practice of allowing is an attitude that we bring in mindfulness. It is one of the 7 vital attitudes that we practice cultivating in mindfulness. The practice of allowing is really the practice of befriending, of welcoming whatever our experience may be, however difficult. It is really a practice of not fixing our experience, not changing it, but rather being with our experience, allowing it to be here, knowing that when we bring awareness, that is when things can change and can move. What we resist persists. And so when we resist whatever our experience may be in the form of sensations, thoughts, emotions, moods, when we judge our experiences, that is when suffering can arise for us. And so by allowing whatever is here, whatever is already here, to be here, through that awareness and through that attitude of allowing, our experience may change. Often it changes. And then the 4th step is investigate. So investigate isn't so much, it isn't so much about, detective investigation. It is more about breaking down our experience and approaching it from a place of beginner's mind, from a place of curiosity. And so I like to break down my inner experiences when I'm doing the investigation part of my practice in emotions, and then breaking emotions down into bodily sensations and thoughts, because essentially an emotion can be seen as a sensation, physical sensation, a cluster of physical sensations coupled with a thought or a narrative about ourselves, others, and the world. And then after breaking down the emotion, I like to ask the emotion, what might it say? What might it need? So, that's my approach. And then N in grain is the 5th step, and it stands for nurture. And it is connected to bringing compassion to our experience, validating our experience. It might be, for example, understanding, not so much intellectually, although perhaps it might come from that place at the beginning, understanding that our experiences are valid and human. And then from that place, asking ourselves what we might need, and then doing the best we can to meet that need, whether that need has to do with safety, reassurance, connection. It can be about meeting our basic needs for food or water or, warmth, like physical warmth, like wrapping up, for example. It can be as simple as that. So that's the 5-step process. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask in the comments. And also, if you have any, other insight or perspectives, feel free to share that as well. I'd love to hear from you. Now we will move into the practice part of our video. So finding a comfortable position, whether it's sitting down, lying down, and grabbing perhaps anything that might bring a sense of kindness and compassion and warmth to yourself. Whether that's a pillow, cushion, blanket, warm scarf, doing whatever you might need to feel settled and at ease. In mindfulness practices, we want to find a position where we're alert, but not in the sense that we're vigilant, in the sense that we're present and awake, but also relaxed. So it's a mix of being relaxed, but also not so relaxed that we're going to fall asleep. And awake. If you do fall asleep, that's completely fine. You probably needed it. But so just finding a position that works for you right now, and beginning by just allowing yourself to land here. You don't have to close your eyes. In fact, you can keep them open or simply lower your gaze. And we'll start by taking a look around the space. Bringing a soft, gentle gaze to the space around you. Perhaps noticing any colors, any shapes, any words, any images. And now moving our awareness to our sense of hearing. So tuning into what you can hear right now. Allowing the sounds to come to you rather than looking for them. Perhaps it might be the chirping of the birds, or the whizzing through of the cars, or a rumble, a buzzing sound. Seeing if you can allow yourself to notice them. And now moving your awareness to your sense of touch and feeling your feet on the ground or your ankles on the ground if you're lying down, feeling your sitting bones supported by the surface below you, noticing the way your body is held by the ground or the surface below you. Noticing what you can sense with your sense of touch. Perhaps a softness or a firmness. Or a roughness. And then moving your awareness to your sense of taste, noticing what's here in your mouth. Perhaps it might be the aftertaste of toothpaste or of something you ate earlier. Or perhaps you don't notice anything, and that's okay too. And now connecting with your sense of smell. Perhaps breathing in the air, noticing the temperature of the air, and anything you can smell. And if no smells come to you, noticing that as best you can. And now connecting with an anchor of choice, of your choice. Perhaps it might be your breath or your belly or your hands, feet, shoulders. Perhaps you might hold something in your hands and squeeze it gently. And seeing if you can become familiar with this anchor, noticing the way it feels in your body or in your hands. Seeing if the breath is present there. Perhaps connecting with your belly and noticing the rise and fall of the belly on each inhale and exhale. Or perhaps noticing the expansion and contraction of the chest. And whenever your mind wanders off to different thoughts about the past, the future, mistakes, regrets, seeing if you can bring it back to your anchor of choice as gently but firmly as you can. And now seeing what's here, perhaps putting on your imaginary goggles of curiosity and seeing if by turning your attention inwardly towards the landscape of your mind, seeing what thoughts are here. Perhaps there's some chatter. Perhaps there's a lot of chatter. Perhaps there's criticism, judgment, or expectation. I invite you to notice whatever's here in the landscape of your mind without fixing it or changing it as best you can, or perhaps becoming aware of your efforts in changing or fixing whatever's here. And now moving your attention to the rest of your body, seeing if any sensations stand out for you, or simply noticing what's present, any tingling or tightness, tension, accumulated stress in the shoulders perhaps, or in the lower back, discomfort, or coolness, warmth, throbbing, pulsing. Whatever the case may be, seeing if you can sense these sensations rather than thinking about them, seeing if you can feel into them. And if at any point you feel uncomfortable, remembering that you can open your eyes and return to the space by squeezing something or patting your shoulders or arms, or grabbing something close to you, feeling your feet on the ground. And now moving into allowing, seeing if you're resisting any of these sensations, perhaps not wanting them to be here, expecting your body to be different, or judging yourself or blaming yourself for whatever's here right now. And if that's the case, noticing the resistance, however it may show up for you, whether it's a bracing against an emotion or a thought, or tension in your jaw, or perhaps it may be showing up as thoughts, criticism, expectation, and whatever the case may be, seeing if you can breathe into this resistance, wherever it may be showing up. Imagining bringing air into these parts of the body. On the inhale, moving the air into these parts, and on the exhale, seeing if they are ready to soften, seeing if you can dissolve any tension, even if just for now, and even if just for a little while. And whenever the mind takes you away from the present from your body, noticing that, and then gently stirring your attention back to the sensations in your body, your breath, your hands, or whatever you may be holding. And seeing if you can allow the resistance to be here. You might say, I see you, I hear you. And then perhaps seeing if gently you may allow your experience, your sensations or emotions or thoughts to be here. Connecting to the breath, taking a few conscious, intentional in-breaths and out-breaths, breathing in through the nose or mouth, and then breathing out through the mouth, breathing in through the nose or mouth, and breathing out. And seeing if you can allow whatever's here to be here as best as you can. And if not, noticing that. And now moving into investigation and beginning by seeing what emotions are here, any moods perhaps, and how are they showing up? Seeing if you can bring a sense of a beginner's mind, as if you were looking at your experience for the very first time. So beginning by uncoupling the emotion into physical sensations. Where is this emotion showing up in your body? Where does it exist? And seeing if perhaps you can feel into these sensations. You might say it out loud, like, I feel ... a sense of tightening or tension or tingling or anything in this part of the body. And you can fill in the blank. And seeing if with your awareness you can trace the emotion through your body. And as you trace it with your mind, seeing if then you can feel into it, really sense it. And if stories come up about how if you feel something, it will never go away, or you will get stuck in it, noticing those stories, and then returning your awareness back to the sensations in your body. And if anything becomes too much for you, then remembering that you have the choice to open your eyes if they were closed, or pause the practice or interrupt it entirely. And then seeing what thoughts are coming with the emotion. What stories or narratives about who you are, who others are, what the world is, what life is in a broader sense. And seeing if you can notice these thoughts and seeing if you can allow yourself to see them as thoughts, as just thoughts, mental events, or you might see them as clouds or thought buses passing through the road of your mind, or clouds moving across the blue sky. And then returning to the body, reconnecting with the sensations in your body. You might ask the emotion, you might befriend it as if it were an unwanted visitor that you know at some point will leave. When you listen to it and hear what it has to say. So you might ask, what might you say? And you might label it as well. You might give the emotion a name, and you might say, here is fill in the blank. What might you say? Or what might you need me to know right now? Allowing the emotion to speak to you. And you might imagine it as a character across a play or something else entirely. And seeing if you can get curious about what it might need to say to you. And now without overthinking, or if you get into thoughts about your feeling, experience, your emotion, returning your awareness to your body and noticing what sensations are here. Returning to your anchor of choice. And then moving into nurture. And really seeing if you can see your experience for what it is. A landscape that will morph and change within you as you bring your awareness to it and your compassion to it. Seeing if you can see your experiences as inherently human and worthy of kindness and compassion and non-judgment. And now you might ask yourself the question, what might I need now? What might I need allowing the answer to come to you. You might even ask yourself, what might I need for the rest of today? Or how can I take care of myself in the next moments of today? And you don't have to have an answer now. You don't have to figure anything out. Mindfulness isn't about figuring out. But what you can do is be with a question, trusting perhaps that the answer will come in its own time. Or perhaps you might think practically about what you might need for the next moments of the day. Thank you so much for practicing with me. And as we come to the end of this practice, perhaps twiddling your toes, stretching, yawning, patting your body, whatever you may need to return. Now I will read you a poem by Rumi called The Guest House. And it goes like this. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. They may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whomever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Thank you. And now from my heart to yours, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be free from suffering, may you come to love and accept all that you are, even your mistakes. May you live with ease, and may you know joy. If you'd like to share what you noticed during the practice, feel free to do so in the comments. Or if you prefer to journal, consider doing that as well. And take care of yourself. Until next time, bye.